Okay, we're going to start our notes. It is solving quadratics. If you have room still on yesterday's page, like maybe you wrote 1 or 2 lines, that's okay. If not, you can go on to a new page, but we are solving quadratics again. Okay, my first question is 3x squared minus 5x equals 0. How do you think I start solving this? What do I have to do first?
Find the GCF.
Okay, I don't have to subtract anything. I want to find the GCF. And what is the GCF between 3x squared and negative 5x? X, 1x. So I'm going to take out an x because I've factored it out. And I'm left with 3x minus 5 equals 0. Is that fully factored? Yes, that is fully factored, but what are the directions? Solve. So remember, solve comes into play with my equals 0 part. So what are my 2 factors for this problem? Here's one factor, and x is the other factor. So remember from yesterday, I set each of these factors equal to 0. So I have x equals 0. Can that be solved, or is that a solution? That is a solution. Then I have 3x minus 5 equals 0. So I'm going to solve it like I did yesterday. I have 3x equals 5 now. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. So I have x equals 5/3. So that means my 2 answers are x equals 0 and 5/3. So here are the solutions to my problem. Now the second one, do I have that equal to 0? No, and I need to make it equal to 0 since it says solve. So just like yesterday, I'm going to put a placeholder. Since I see this is like a b term, I'm going to write plus 0x equals 18x. So now when I subtract the 18 from 0 instead of from 12. And I don't want to see that mistake on a test or quiz, but it's a very common thing. So I have 12x squared minus 18x equals 0. Can I solve this now? Yeah. So, what do I do first? Find the GCF, which is what? 6x. So 2 is a common factor, but it's not the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is 6. So I have 6x times 2x minus 3 equals 0. Now, what are my 2 factors? 6x and 2x minus 3. So I'm going to set each of these terms equal to 0. Okay, so I have 6x equals 0. How do I solve for x? How do I isolate the variable? I divide both sides by 6. Thank you, both of you. So I get x equals 0 again. And for my other factor, I'm going to solve how I did the other few. So I have 2x equals 3. So x equals 3 over 2. So here's one solution, and here's the other solution. Okay, I'm going to give you the next one. The next one is a U-try. We're going to do a U-try. Solve this one. You try this one. Okay, I'm going to put the answer up now. If you're still working, don't look yet, but for the rest of you, check your answer. Is that what you got? Yeah? Okay, we're feeling pretty good about this? I'm glad. Okay, ready for your next one? Okay, I think we went over this in class on Tuesday, but if not, here's a really quick refresher. Can we talk about this? I did it in some of my classes, not all of them. I forget which ones were which. Okay, so now this says factor completely. So I'm going to look at each term. Is 9m squared a perfect square? Yes. Good. Is 49 a perfect square? Yes. And I have subtraction, right? Yes. So that tells me take the square root of the first term and the square root of the second term. So what is the square root of 9m squared? 3m. The square root of m squared is m. What is the square root of 49? Good. Did we go over this one on Tuesday? Okay. If not, it's okay. So I'm going to write my first term in both first spots. I'm going to write my second term. And remember, my sign is plus and minus. If I wrote minus and then plus, is that still right? Yes, the order of my factors doesn't matter as long as I have one of each. Question?
Yeah, like so for like a different answer, can you put like in the beginning like plus or minus and then like afterwards like a line underneath?
Yeah. When you're talking about your solution?
Yeah.
Kind of. I'll show you that on the next slide, okay? Now, for the second one, can I take the square root of 64x squared? Yes. What is the square root of 64x squared? 8x. Awesome. What about the square root of 1? It's positive 1. Good. So that means I had 8x, and 8x, 1, and 1, plus or minus. Okay? Do you remember this? One of my other classes was like, Miss Audette, Mr. Brajas taught this, but not the way that you teach it. So I called Mr. Brajas, and he told me how he taught it, and I was like, I did literally the exact same thing today. Okay, ready for our next two examples? Okay, I'll wait. Okay, next. Hold on, we'll see it again. What's different about these two problems compared to the last two? F(n) equals 0, but otherwise, I chose the same quadratic, right? So do I know what these factors are? Yeah, I'm not going to make you refactor it, since we just did. But now I have the all-important equals 0, which tells me I need to solve. Okay. So on my first question, 9m squared minus 49 equals 0, the factored form is 3m plus 7 times 3m minus 7. So I'm going to set each of my factors equal to 0. Each of my factors equal to 0. Okay. And then I'm going to solve, just like I did yesterday and just like I did earlier. So for my first factor, subtract 7. So I have 3m equals negative 7. Divide by 3. And then m equals negative 7 over 3. My other factor, I'm going to add 7. I have 3m equals positive 7. Divide by 3, and I get m equals 7/3. So what do I notice about these two solutions? Yeah, well, they're the same, but one is positive and one is negative, right? So have you seen this as m equals plus or minus 7/3? So I will accept either of those answers. They're both correct. You can write them separately or as plus or minus, okay? Can you solve the second one for me? Can you finish solving that one for me? Okay, what does x equal for the second one? Plus or minus 1 over 8. Thank you, Sarah. Is that what we got? Yes? Okay, ready for the next one? I have 2 U tries. Check for a GCF. This might have a GCF in it, okay? I'll give you 3 minutes to do these 2. Work in your groups. Okay, for the first one, is this what we got for our fully factored form?
Yes.
And are these our 2 solutions? Josh, did you get this one right? Are you sure? Did you fix your answer? Because the first one wasn't right. Okay, are you done with the second one? Okay, let's look at the second one.
That's right.
Okay, if you forgot to take out 4 as the GCF, please listen. If you didn't take out 4 as the GCF, your final factors would have been 4r squared plus 2, 4r plus 2, 4r minus 2, if you didn't take out the initial 4. So when you solved, you would have gotten plus or minus 2/4. Is that fully simplified? No, because 2/4 is 1/2. So you would get the same answer, but if I asked you to write this in a fully factored simplified form, it's not fully factored or simplified if you didn't take out the GCF to begin with. Does that make sense? And what I was saying, I said check for the GCF. That doesn't necessarily mean there will be a GCF, but you have to check every single time, okay? Next, I'm going to give you have 6 more U tries, I think. Yeah. 6 more U tries, and in about 7 or 8 minutes, I'm going to give you your exit ticket, and that's the last thing that we're doing, okay?
We just get an exit ticket now?
No. Okay. Try these ones.